Welcome back to the Empower Podcast. The AI talent gold rush is here. How Hank Levine is rebuilding the workforce and what the next generation must do to win. Everyone's talking about AI replacing jobs, but almost no one is talking about the real opportunity, which is going to build the future. Today's guest isn't just talking about AI, he's building the infrastructure behind it. Hank Levine is an entrepreneur, investor, and the mind behind an AI talent marketplace that's helping startups access elite technical talent faster than ever before. Hank, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ty. I'm thrilled to be on your podcast.
Yeah, thanks, man. I've been looking forward to this one all week. Let's start here because your background is interesting. You've been in business, sales, manufacturing, and now you're deep in AI talent. Walk us through this transition. How'd you get here? You got a long history.
Yeah, a part of it, I'm just old, right? But I am a serial entrepreneur, and I actually have reinvented myself 4 times in my career where I've gone into totally different industries. Prior to getting into recruiting, I worked with a whole bunch of venture capital-backed software companies. But for the last 20 years, I've been founding and heading global recruiting companies. So that's given me a really interesting perspective on talent in general, but particularly in AI, because I've been working in about 30 different countries.
Interesting. So you found in your life cycle right now that the bottleneck isn't necessarily capital, but it's talented people basically.
I think there's a big bottleneck in capital if you're doing things outside of AI. I mean, AI is attracting about 80% of venture capital investment now. So if you're not in AI, you're probably having a hard time raising money. As far as the talent bottleneck goes in AI, it's really severe at the senior level. At the junior level, there's a lot of people who are maybe right out of school or with less experience who would love to get hired because it's very hard for those people to get hired into junior jobs.
Talk about that a little bit later in the show. So what is the bottleneck exactly on the senior level people?
Well, at the senior level, I'm sure you've seen in the media that there's just unimaginable amounts of money being invested in AI, more money than has ever been invested into any technology in history. And with all this investment, you have your venture capitalists who expect you to build almost immediately, go fast, 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 right? They just gave you an enormous amount of money. And there are so many companies being funded in AI, you've got to just build quickly. And the challenge is that there's a very limited number of people at senior levels who know how to build very, if not enterprise level products, at least sophisticated products. Those people not only have to know the technology well, but they have to have the network to build a team. They have to build product before, and there's just way, way more demand for those people than there is supply. So what you find is that, first of all, companies have a really hard time even getting really qualified people to interview with them. And then when they do interview with them, their compensation demands are just incredible. I mean, most people in the senior levels are expecting to get like $300,000 to $500,000 a year plus a big chunk of equity. And even when companies are willing to pay that, they often find that they can't get people, these really good senior talent, to accept their job because they want to work for big tech. So they want to go to NVIDIA or Google or Microsoft. So it really puts them in a bind because you got these investors breathing down their neck, and the investors wanted to build product very quickly, and they can't really build a world-class product without the senior talent.
So basically the companies that are going to win in the future aren't necessarily the ones with the best ideas, but they're going to need to deploy AI talent the fastest and basically keep them there.
I would say it's both because you have to have good ideas, but there's so much competition in AI. There's so many companies going after similar marketplaces, and yes, you have to have good ideas, but you have to be fast in getting your product to market. And you can't do that without good people.
Well, let's break this down. You're building basically an AI talent marketplace for these companies, ideally. What does that mean?
Yeah. So in the staffing world, staffing companies, we don't create the market. We follow where the opportunity is. And there's a huge opportunity in trying to come up with a solution that these funded AI startups are having hiring senior AI talent. So we just talked about the problem, but the solution is that there is much more senior AI talent available in other countries than you can find just in the US. And a lot of these people working in other countries, they would love to work for an American or a European company because it gives them much better global exposure. So if you're in India and you're working for an Indian domestic company, even if you have a PhD in AI, you can probably get a 30-40% pay bump if you work for a Silicon Valley company. But what you really get is global exposure. So the AI hiring marketplace that we're building, we work with funded AI startups. They put their job orders in to the marketplace using AI and also using people, experienced account managers and recruiters. We match them to vetted talent from around the world. So these are people we've already pre-interviewed. And if we don't have someone who's a perfect fit, our recruiter will go out and find you somebody. But the talent from other countries, we can generally get them hired in 2 to 3 weeks. They work under long-term contracts, anywhere from 6 months to 2+ years. And for the US company, they can generally hire for them for about one-third or half the cost of hiring someone locally in America.
Pretty cool. So basically, companies could come to you, Hank, and you're just a plug and play. You got already the talent identified, vetted, and just plug and play with these companies. Easy in
That's
real life,
that's the
but
concept. Yeah, but we do have a lot of vetted talent, and we're always adding to our marketplace. But we also have very, very experienced recruiters because an AI startup can't hire the wrong person. It would just be disastrous. So if we have someone that might have all the technical skills, but isn't the right cultural fit, and they're vetted and they're in our marketplace, we won't present them to the company. We'll go out and find somebody better.
let's switch gears just a little bit here because I'm still like a young guy. I'm 49 years old. I have a son who's a freshman at Montana State and then a junior in high school, right? And
Hmm.
I have concerns. I really have legit concerns. Like as a parent, what do these kids need to be focused on to be like employable in this new world that's going to be heavily dominated by AI capability, knowledge, and actual, some actual experience, I would think.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I talk to college students all the time. So why don't we talk about both college students and non-college students? Talking about everybody, if you look at the jobs that are being posted now, 75% of them have an AI requirement, even jobs you wouldn't think of AI. So all employers expect you to be at least reasonably AI literate. That doesn't mean that you need to go out and build AI applications, but you have to have used tools and you have to be enthusiastic about it and eager to learn. Now, what I really find interesting are people going for computer science degrees. All right. So for decades and decades and decades, probably for the last 30 years, mommy and daddy told their son or daughter, get a computer science degree from a good school and you're golden. You'll get a high paying job for the rest of your life. And for 30 years, that was true. Now, if you get a computer science degree from a top school, you might get one or two job offers. You might not get any job offers. And that's never happened before. And it's very, very scary. So the reason this is happening is because AI is great at writing code. So we've all used generative AI tools like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, and it's pretty neat. You put in a prompt and it pumps out text in English or Spanish or French, whatever language you put your prompt in, it will write it. a very good paragraph or even a book for you. What's interesting about software is it's just like a language. It's just like English or Spanish or French, except it has a lot more structure and rules. And you know how generative AI works. It just predicts the most high probability next word to put into the text. So it's really good at writing code. And now you see things like vibe coding, where you can just speak to your computer, give it a prompt, and it pumps out code. So I watched this in our own company, and my jaw drops because, as I mentioned, I worked in a whole bunch of venture capital backed software companies, and the types of apps that we're building at Be Additive Tech, we would have needed a team of 20 people to do it before. We have a team of 4. And not only do they build better apps, they build things that would have taken 6 to 8 months, they build it in 3 or 4 weeks. And so and that's what you can do using tools like Cursor with Claude. You just do the vibe coding. You need some senior people to make sure to correct the bugs, because there is some what they call technical debt that you need to fix. You got to make sure it has all the security needs, but you can build apps really fast. And so because of this, a lot of companies are not hiring entry-level programmers. They're hiring the senior people, but not so much the entry-level people. So I give people in computer science, I give them a bunch of advice. The first thing is learn a second language. All right. If all you know is computer science, which is just a language, you don't have a lot of flexibility in your career. You may become obsolete. So learn a second language. The second language could be something in the humanities. It could be sales. It could be becoming an expert in an industry. But if you know more than one thing, you'll be way more valuable to an employer. The second thing I tell them is that in this world where product life cycles and company life cycles are becoming so short, you're going to be shifting jobs all the time. And to get jobs, you have to know people, which means you have to network. Now, a lot of people in computer science hate that advice because they've never had a network before, and that's really uncomfortable for them. But you just have to do it in today's world. And it's not that hard to do. If you're in college, your professors will know people, and you can just tell them your concerns in AI. You can tell them about your second language. You can tell them about the things you're interested in, and they will introduce you to people in industry. And when you get those meetings with people in industry, use AI to prepare, right? Go on and in the chat GPT, ask all kind of questions about the person's company, about their industry, about the person, prepare questions, go and show a lot of interest. Do not ask for a job. Just show interest and enthusiasm and tell them the things that you like. If they're impressed with you, they might offer you a job. They'll almost certainly introduce you to other people. Send them a thank you note. If you really want to be different, send them one by mail. All right, because no one gets mail. But at least send them an email. If they're older, probably don't text them. And stay in touch with them. Every 3 months or so, just give them an update on your career. These people will help you. They'll help you for years and years and years. And the last piece of advice I give to people is if you do get the opportunity to join more than one company, so you get more than one job offer, take the job offer with the best boss. All right. So for years and years, people have joined companies because of the company's brand. They like their products. They like their service. They like their reputation. But I will tell you, in today, job cycles are so short. With AI, everything's going to just get faster and faster. You need a boss that cares about you, who wants to give you opportunities, wants to give you exposure, will give you projects that involve AI, and be a mentor to you in your career. That's much more important than the brand of the company.
Hank, that's some really good advice, man. I never even thought about that. It's like you want to go, like, I don't use baseball as an analogy. You want to go play on a baseball team that has a coach that believes in you, that's actually going to put you in the game and mentor you and develop you. So that's similar to the workplace. It's like these these kids, they may want to look at the shiny big company in the room, but what you're saying is go to the with the boss that's going to give you some real life advice, mentorship.
Yeah, and there's a lot of terrible bosses in the world who will take credit for everything you do, won't give you opportunity, but things are changing Degrees are going to become less important. Company brands on your resume are going to become less important. Having actual AI and other skills is going to become more important. So go to a boss who will help you get those skills and cares about you and will help you in your career.
Do you think where does college kind of fit in here? You know, I mean, it seems like a lot of these younger generation, they're more technical, they're willing to take some risks. You know, I still believe, you know, kids should go to college just to get that
Mhm.
life experience of being on their own, being able to do their own laundry and cook for themselves. But where does that in a practical world today, what do you think?
Well, I agree with you. College is more than a job. There are a lot of other life experiences you get through college. That being said, I do think if we look from 10 years from now, college degrees will probably be less valued. There's a whole lot of companies coming out with certifications and short courses where you get certified in AI and other skills. And that in your actual work experience, and also just a lot of your personal characteristics. You need to just be super open to learning. And one of the things I tell people, if this all sounds overwhelming, just start doing it. You don't have to be building product, but you have to get exposed to AI tools and be good at using them.
Yeah, so you say just dive in. Are you so like hands-on, we're talking like ChatGPT, APIs, some automation tools, building some simple applications, things of that nature, like just learn how to do it, right? Build like a little
Yeah.
resume or
Or
portfolio.
learn how to use AI products. I mean, they're in every industry now. And so you can get internships or anything. Just learn how to use the products, put it on your resume. When you build your resume, even if you don't have any AI capability, create something because without it, you're not going to get hired.
Good point, man. I'm definitely gonna make my kids, my business partners' kids watch this podcast.
Just do anything. You can go on the chat GPT and ask them, how do I learn AI? It'll tell you how to do it. And then just do 3 or 4 things and you can put it on your resume. These are projects I did on my own initiative because I was so interested in AI.
I could go down some serious rabbit holes myself right now. It's like sometimes I can't even sleep at night 'cause I got all these interesting projects, and you know, ChatGPT gives you even greater ideas, and then you got to send it over to the development team, and hopefully they can, you know, put together a reasonable timeline to build and then implement, or test and then implement. It's crazy. Where do you think this whole thing sits? Like in 2027 and then 5 years out from there? Like what do you see? If you had like a crystal ball, what do you see? And I know that's a loaded question.
I'm a big skeptic on people with crystal balls because most people with crystal balls also bring an agenda. And so, if you there's a lot of controversy, a lot of discussion about will AI create or destroy jobs? And there's different types of people. There's the tech optimists, the accelerators, who think it's going to create a utopian society where no one's going to have to work and everybody will be super rich. I don't buy into that.
Neither do
I
I.
think the
That's not gonna
and I think the people who are presenting a flavor of that story, generally have reasons like trying to pump up their stock valuation or avoid getting uh, the government to regulate their industry. There's usually reasons like that. There's also the doomers who think that it's just going to wipe out all the jobs and everybody will be unemployed. That makes no sense to me because in that scenario, if nobody has any money, there's no economy for the AI companies to sell into. And if you just look at past history where there's been very disruptive innovations like the agricultural revolution, or the industrial revolution, and everything coming into office work, there's always been concerns about jobs getting wiped out, and it's never happened because the same technology creates jobs. So AI is going to clearly created a lot of jobs. It already is creating a lot of jobs. There's all kind of jobs in oversight. And the data for the last 3 years or so doesn't really support AI broadly destroying jobs. There are certain niches, certain analyst positions, and maybe entry-level programmers that are having a hard time. But for every job like that, there's been jobs directly in AI, ML engineers and AI architects, but just a lot of jobs requiring oversight that AI is creating. And a lot of the jobs that people predicted would go away because of AI aren't going away, like paralegals. Everyone thought AI would wipe out paralegals. There's 21% more paralegals in our country than there were 3 years ago. So it's it's um it's it's not really clear. I think the what's going to happen is somewhere in between. There are certain jobs will go away or become less common. These are going to be jobs that have a lot of routine and repetitive tasks that AI can do much better than a person. But at the same time, AI is going to create a lot of innovation where the jobs will transform or new jobs will appear. And it's really not clear which one's going to be the greater force and how quickly this stuff will happen. There's never been any time in our history where knowledge workers' jobs and people in creative jobs have been threatened. So this is all new. This is all new. We'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah, the artistic people in the world definitely, you know, th- there's something to be said for them to worry a little bit,
Yeah,
the artist.
yeah.
I think down the road though, those true artists, if they could survive, their value is going to go up because it's going to be more vintage, original.
Yeah, and most likely scenario, in my opinion, is that jobs will transform. They won't go away. People like art, maybe artists will use AI to create. I'm not sure. But they will transform. People need to express themselves, and there's a market for art.
Right. Let me ask you a question, Hank. From a real estate world, like the real estate transaction world or loan origination or loan servicing, it seems like that industry is always the last to innovate. And I don't know if you're too familiar with it. How do you see AI impacting that particular industry?
Well, I'm not at all an expert in this industry. I never worked in it, but I do know several people building products in it. And anywhere where there's a lot of dispersed information that can be brought together to make better decisions, AI is going to be all over it. And I think that there's very imperfect information in real estate. And so I do think it lends itself to AI. There's also sales jobs, real estate agents, a lot of that can be made more efficient with the AI tools, just like it's happening in recruiting. I think there's hardly any industries that aren't going to be impacted in a big way by AI. I think the two that are most protected in the short run are probably a lot of positions in healthcare and maybe some positions in construction because you just need people physically doing things in those industries.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're not focused on AI, I always tell people get in the trades, get in HVAC, get in plumbing, get in electrical. Get a mentor there for 4 years, and if you have the entrepreneurial spirit, start your own practice.
That's absolutely true, and I think all the forecasted jobs show all those industries you just mentioned are predicted to grow for the foreseeable future, and especially as the population ages.
So you've had quite a career. You've done many different things, and you're still at it. What makes you still want to get after it every single day? You probably don't have to. You could probably go out in the sunset, live a great life.
I have enough money to get over the finish line, but the thing is, so the name of our company is Be Additive, and as we're about 2 years old, and I founded the company. I named it. It's really a kind of odd name. It doesn't really describe recruiting. So why do we do it? And I just feel I'm at a point in my life where I have a right to make a statement, maybe moralize a little bit. And you can see on our website, there's a whole thing on our statement of purpose. And Be Additive is all about adding value, being additive, making the world a little better than when you came in. So you can do that through being kind. You can do that through being impactful. You can do it by being courageous and resisting people who are extractive. And what I love about is entrepreneurship is one of the few things you can do in life where you can really scale your value system. So, most people put their value system into their family, but their family doesn't scale very big. And you can do it in other organizations. But if you grow a big company and a very honest, high integrity company, you can impact a lot of people's lives. And I love doing that. And I love working and I love being an entrepreneur. So right now I'm getting to an age where, I also have to plan other ways. So I have a bunch of great people who came from my last company in our company. We are growing them all to take over the company. Personally, I probably just be chairman in 3 years and be a mentor, maybe work 20 hours a week. But for now, I'm loving it.
Nice. Well, hey, that's a great way to look at it. Hank, let's land this plane here, man. If someone listens to this episode and wants to take action tomorrow, what's one thing they should do?
Well, the one thing you should do is if you haven't gotten started in AI, and this is if you're looking for a job or if you're running a company, just start. Because it's not going away. All right. You can love it or you can hate it, but it is not going away. There's so much money going into this, and it has such enormous potential to change the world, probably in both good ways and bad ways, but it is going to happen. So if you don't get in front of it, you are going to become a dinosaur, at least for 80% of the people. So get in front of it, just be curious, keep learning, keep experimenting, and just get exposure.
I appreciate it. Hey, this is AI Gold Rush, and the people who win aren't the ones watching; they're the ones building. Hank Levine, appreciate you coming on, man. Where could people get information about you and your company?
So you can go to my LinkedIn profile, send me a message, or you can just email me, hank.levine@beadditive.com, or go on our websites.
Perfect. Thank you, Hank. Hey, everybody, thanks for watching the Empower podcast. See you next.